Welcome back, everyone, to the Six Pennies podcast. And because today is the NBA trade deadline, we have all six pennies here on the pod. What's up, Timmy and Mark?
Trade deadline.
How was your day? Did you guys just follow Twitter all day?
Yeah, I refreshed Twitter probably I don't know how often. Mark and I were messaging all day long.
All I did today was talk to you and Timmy and watch a couple of Panda videos on repeat.
Yeah, so for me, I was doing a certification class for my work, and the instructor glared at me a few times because all I did was just text you guys back and forth regarding trades. So this year we had the huge DeMarcus Cousins trade earlier on Sunday night. We were hoping for a couple more superstars getting traded today, but even though there weren't any big names or big superstars, there were a ton of deals, and we're going to go through all of them. And Timmy and Mock are going to go through the winners and the losers of who they thought came out on top for that trade. Is there anything else, guys?
No, let's do it. Let's start from the top.
The only thing is we just picked one winner, one loser for each one. There could be a lot more of them, so it was just fun to pick our own winners and losers.
Okay, so the first trade we're going to go through happened a couple weeks ago, and it's Serge Ibaka to Toronto for Ross and a first-round draft pick. So, Timmy, let's go through you first.
Yeah, I think we talked about this on a previous pod really quickly with you, Albie, but my biggest winner here is got to be the Magic fans, because with that kind of deal, it just shows how poorly the Magic are run, and hopefully Rob Hennigan's going to get canned really soon. I think he's done a terrible job, as we've talked about, and so the biggest winner hopefully is going to be those fans of Orlando, assuming that finally they'll get rid of him.
Is Rob Hennigan the Orlando GM?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
This franchise is a complete mess. I was talking to Timmy and both of you guys actually back and forth the last couple of days talking about which NBA franchise was the worst run. And every time I feel like the Kings are pulling away, the Orlando Magic come right back in. And so this one is Ibaka is a guy they just signed or just traded for. They just traded kind of the farm for. They had Oladipo, who was their best prospect, and now they're setting him back over there for Terrence Ross on a first. And this first sucks. It's not even going to be a top 15. I think Toronto had 2 picks to give, and this was the worst of the 2 in the first round. So the winner for me is Aaron Gordon. He's a little banged up right now, a little injured, but he's going to actually get some more playing time in his more natural position, which is power forward. But he's not really the winner just because I think playing out of position kind of helped him a bit, because I think going to see how limited his ceiling really is. But the loser, is just Magic fans and City Orlando. Tim is exactly right.
Are you guys
Magic fans as both the winner and the loser? The winner, assuming that Hennigan's going to be gone. Loser, just because it highlights how poorly they've been run, how bad they've been for so long. But they still don't hold a candle to the Kings. I laid it out for you, Mock. There's no contest.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Kings a little later on, a couple lines down.
Mock, you said Aaron Gordon is a little banged up. Is he still hurt? Are his feelings still hurt from the dunk contest, or what's up with that?
His feelings are hurt. So I think they kept talking about the lower body injury he had coming into the dunk contest. I think a lot of that was excuses, but just getting hung by the rim over and over again on national television didn't help.
So the next trade we're going to go through is Miles Plumlee, one of the Plumlee brothers, for Roy Hibbert and Spencer Hawes. Mock, who do you think the winner is for this one?
I'm going to have the Plumlee family.
Okay.
There's so many Plumlee brothers, and just having their name in the news, sometimes just any news is good news, especially for Miles Plumlee. I think this is a guy a lot of casual fans probably don't even know didn't even know existed until this trade happened. So that's my winner. And my loser is, unfortunately, the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. He doesn't know what he's doing still. Bring in Miles Plumlee. I guess he's giving him a chance, but I don't know what he brings to the table for them other than just a big body down low, which is kind of what they had with Hibbert and Haas. Haas could at least stretch the floor a little bit. And so we'll see how the Hornets end up doing the rest of the season.
Do you guys think there's at least 1% chance that Michael Jordan thought he was trading for the better Plumlee?
I think it's probably a good 20-25%.
Yeah, like I don't think he knew which brother he was getting.
I still don't really know which brother that is.
True. So who do you think won and
He is the worst one.
who do you think won and lost this trade, Timmy?
I think the Bucks won the trade, but really it's their salary cap that won the trade because they paid way too much for Miles Plumlee last year. I think he was on like a $50 million contract. So they open up some space so that they can continue to make a push with their young, long guys and hopefully pick somebody else up this offseason. The loser, though, is Roy Hibbert. He was Defensive Player of the Year like 3 years ago, right? And he was like the LeBron stopper. And all of a sudden he's been traded. He was traded like 3 different times, and nobody even cares about him anymore. Poor guy.
He got so many props for being able to stand straight because people would give him like all this praise about verticality, and I'm like, okay, Are you serious?
Yep.
All right, so we went through.
Standing straight. It was jumping straight. He
True.
was jumping in the air straight up.
Okay, so we went through Miles Plumlee. Now we're gonna go through Mason Plumlee. I think this is his younger brother. And this trade was Mason Plumlee and a second for Nurkic and a first. Mock, what are your thoughts?
So the winner I have as the Plumlee family again. Like I said, any news is good news right here. They're in the news again, kind of back to back. Mason Plumlee, I'm kind of surprised they did it just because I think Denver was obviously really high on him to give him a first. But they kind of know where his ceiling's at, and I think he's at it right now. He's not a terrible player. It's just I feel like his ceiling is lower than Nurkic's is. So the loser of this trade, I think, is the Nuggets. I think they gave up a little too much for him, and this really doesn't help their cause any. I feel like I never know where the Nuggets are trying to go. It's like they have like an internal search for an identity for that team. You don't know if they're trying to build through Moutier. I guess Jokic is definitely their best player right now, but I don't know how well Plumlee really pairs with them.
Yeah, I have to disagree with part of that. Did you say you think Nurkic's ceiling is higher than Mason Plumlee or lower?
I think it's higher.
I completely disagree because I've had Nurkic on fantasy teams, and he is the worst fantasy player ever. But really, in real life, too, like Mason Plumlee has proved to be a pretty good like facilitator. He can roll to the rim. He's pretty solid. I like the Nuggets deal for him. I think it sucks for him because he's going to just be playing behind the great Nikola Jokic now and isn't going to be able to showcase himself. But really, my biggest winner here is the Zeller family, Tyler and Cody, because they didn't get traded and the Plumlees did. Really unfortunate. My loser here is the Blazers players because I think Mason Plumlee was pretty good at taking some of the pressure off of guys like C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard. I don't think Nurkic is going to do that at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Mock, earlier you said that you don't know where the Nuggets are going. I think they are definitely trending up, and I think they may be only a year or two away from being a legitimate playoff team. So,
well, yeah, mark my words. I think they're going to be definitely in the playoffs next year, probably top 6.
Whoa, your words are marked. Hey, you want to put a meal on that?
Yeah,
no,
I'll bet on that.
I don't bet meals against you, but I'm here first.
How about you and Mock? You guys bet.
No, I don't bet meals anymore. You changed that.
Okay.
You ruined him, Albie.
All right. So yeah, a couple days ago there was a huge DeMarcus Cousins trade. He's now teaming up with the Unibrow. It's Boogie and the Brow. 2 of the top 5 bigs in the NBA are on the same team. Mock and I we did a quick podcast about it a couple days ago, but Timmy didn't get to put in his 2 cents. So Timmy, the floor is yours. Like, how do you feel about this trade? I know Sacramento got back Tyreek, Buddy, Galloway, and a first-round draft pick.
Wow, thanks. Yeah, I really wanted to be on that the other day. I had a lot of thoughts about it, and I've forgotten all of them. But just thinking about it now, like Boogie and Unibrow. That's Fire and Ice. That's their new nickname. But they're not just two of the best 5 bigs in the league. I think they're like the 2 best bigs in the league right now. I mean, there's probably a few others that are going to be up and coming, like Towns, Porzingis, Embiid, those guys. But in terms of like real centers, these guys I think are the best. They're both averaging like 27 and 10.
They're the best from a fantasy standpoint for sure. But I don't know about real life.
Fantasy standpoint for sure. It remains to be seen how they'll fit together in real life. I think they both do a pretty good job of spacing the floor, though. They can both shoot well. I think you mentioned on the last pod, Boogie makes threes like more than Buddy Hield. And Anthony Davis has long been one of the best like mid-range and out close to the three-point line shooters over the last like 3 years or so. So it's clearly like an amazing deal for the Pelicans because they got the best talent and they gave up very, very little. The biggest loser for me has to be the Kings fans, just knowing that, you know, this is what has happened to their team, like seeing what Vlade has done and his incompetency. And it's just really sad to see. Like I listed out their last 6 or 7 lottery picks. So they've all been in like top 8 and none of them have panned out even close. Most of them aren't even on the team anymore. So it's just depressing. I also saw that the Kings actually had offers for Ben McLemore, Darren Collison, Aaron Aflalo today that they passed on. So they just decided not even to do anything when they could have been tanking even further. You know, that organization is just sad. The other loser that I have there is Buddy. Buddy Hield, I think he's gotten crushed by the media the past 3 or 4 days. Everybody just saying like how terrible he is, how he's already an old rookie and has no chance of becoming anything. I thought he was okay, but from what I've been hearing and reading, he's awful. I think he is the biggest loser here.
Wait, you don't think he's going to be the next Steph Curry?
No, I don't. Maybe the next Seth Curry, but that's even better, right?
Seth Curry is shooting better from the field than Steph. That's all I got to say. All right, so
yeah, I'm still just shocked that like nobody else came above and went above and beyond to get Boogie. That's just a little bit low of an offer. I've read stuff and heard some podcasts about how, you know, everybody was afraid of getting him and making a big offer, but I'm still surprised that was the best they could do.
Yeah, I think like off the court reputation is still really important to a lot of these GMs, and we saw that front and center with Boogie. Okay, so for the next trade, a lot of people know this by now, but I have deemed myself a huge Houston Rockets fan for this year alone, and I am very, very excited for this move. Lou Williams going to Houston for Corey Brewer and a first-round draft pick to LA. Timmy, what are your thoughts?
Well, the winner here is Daryl Morey. He's always the winner. We always trust him.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any loser in this trade at all. Like, I can't think of any. I think Magic Johnson did pretty well in getting a first-rounder for Lou. And, yeah, I mean, I think he's a winner in the trade. I think Morey's the winner. I don't think anybody's a loser. If I were Magic, I probably wouldn't have been trying to make a trade with Daryl Morey, like, on my first day, just to make sure I don't mess anything up. But it turns out, like, I think he did pretty well here.
Yeah, for me, I'd say Eric Gordon is the winner here. So he's going to be sharing a backcourt. His job's going to be a lot easier off the bench. He's not going to have to create everything by himself. And I think he's pretty much going to have the 6-man award locked up now. It was a 2-man race between Eric Gordon and Lou Williams. So once we got Lou Williams, I think Mike D'Antoni already said Lou's going to be kind of our 7th man. And so Eric Gordon. And the loser here, I'm going to give it to Corey Brewer. I think he's fallen off so far from – people forget when we first got him on the Rockets a couple years ago, he was actually hitting his threes and he was actually hitting his shots, especially in the corner against the Clippers with that amazing, like, 3-1 comeback. But, yeah, his game's just really fallen off, and he's kind of just like a throw-in in this deal just to make the salaries work.
Yeah,
I don't see him as a loser though, because I mean he's still making he got a big contract out of that one series, $8 million a year. Sounds pretty good. Now he can live in LA.
Okay, so for DeMarcus Cousins, he only fetched a first-round draft pick from New Orleans. Same with this guy. I can't even pronounce his name. Bogdanovich. He
Yeah, that's good.
also only fetched a first round. What are your thoughts on this trade? So the trade was Bogdanovich for Thornton, Nicholson, McCullough, and a first. Timmy.
Well, as soon as Lou Williams went to the Rockets, I think the Wizards panicked. We knew that they were after Lou, they needed like another creator and scorer off the bench. They've been really hot the past month or so, maybe 2 months, and their starting lineup is great, but their bench is awful. So they made the trade for Bogdanovich with the Nets, who is like a pretty solid shooter. Like he's not bad, but he's definitely not good, and he's definitely not worth the first rounder. Like that's an awful trade for the Wizards in terms of what they gave up. And the Wizards fans, just knowing they had to live through their awful GM too, Ernie Grunfeld, who's like been there forever, and he continues to stay there because the Wizards are just good enough. Like they make the playoffs one year, and then they get to the second round the next year. So he always has stayed around, even though he has been pretty terrible the whole time. The winner in this trade has to be the Brooklyn Nets, because they actually got something for Bogdanovich. That's shocking that they're able to get a first rounder. But actually, even beyond that, the true winner is the Celtics, because they own the Nets pick, and now the Nets are going to be even worse this year. If that were at all possible, I think they've pretty much locked in the best odds for the number one pick.
So around this time of year, we always hear about all these trades and first round picks, second round picks. First round pick obviously is the sexy one you want, right? But I have a little formula that I kind of come up with to kind of determine whether a team got enough back. So my formula is depending on, so you think about how good the player is and you rank them like, from 1 to, however many players in the NBA. So let's say Bogdanovich, I think we might be a little generous if we put him at like 150. So, well, maybe let's do this easier. Let's go back to Cousins for a bit. So Cousins yielded a first round pick as well. So Cousins, if we can all agree, top 15 at least, right? So 15 is kind of the baseline. So you take the 15, you divide it by 2, and then you round down. So that means that they should have gotten at least the 7th overall pick back, in my mind. So they obviously didn't. Their pick is going to be in, I don't know, the high 20s or mid 20s, we'll say, from New Orleans. So Bogdanovich, I'd say at best he's maybe like top 140. Even if he's 100, if you put him at 100, you divide that by 2, that's 50. That's like end of the second round. So clearly he's not worth the first round pick in my mind.
Wow, that's really complex. I don't want to do that formula at all.
So, Timmy, are you really down on the Wizards GM?
Yeah, he has not been good for many years. He's made a lot of questionable moves.
But didn't Washington just go through like the longest home winning streak or something of the year, and aren't they like second or third in the East?
They're third. I mean, they're doing really well right now. It's just I don't think it's due to his amazing moves or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he did some overpaying. I think he gave up a little bit too much for Markieff Morris, and he overpaid Gortat and Nene, and it's just been overall. I think he hasn't made the big moves that they needed.
And they still need to sign Bradley Beal this summer, right?
No, they signed Bradley Beal.
Oh, they did already? Okay.
Yeah, he got a max. Yeah, and John Wall was upset about it. He was upset about everybody getting a deal.
All right, so I'll go to you again, Mock, for this one. This trade is Ersan for Thiago Splitter and 2 second-round draft picks. Basically, Philly is getting every draft pick for the next 5 years.
Yeah, so on that note, I'm going to say the winner of this is the 2017 NBA draft, at least the second round. This at least makes things interesting. Analysts will tune in to see kind of where all of these second-round picks that they've acquired kind of end up. The loser, I'd say, is the one who started this whole process. He told us to trust the process. It was Sam Hinkie, Timmy's boy. Is just I feel like he wasn't good with the media, which was obvious and part of the reason why he's not there now. But I think he started them on this process, and unfortunately, he gave away. Like they're going on the process without him, which I feel really sad for Hinkie now. Like they're still making all these Hinkie-like deals, and everyone on Twitter is still attributing it to Hinkie, but I don't even know what he's doing now. He's in Silicon Valley just hanging out.
Yeah, he is. I think he's like hanging out at coffee shops or something and waiting for the next job to come up. Hopefully it's the Kings. I want him to go there and fix things.
Timmy, why do you like Sam Hinkie so much?
I mean, why wouldn't you like Sam Hinkie? I think he's done it. I think he did everything right. Like, look at their treasure chest of picks. That's my winner here. They got 2 more seconds. I mean, this wasn't his deal, but I sent you guys a screenshot of all the different picks they have incoming over the next, like, 3 or 4 years. And it didn't even fit the screen on my phone because there's, like, 12 different picks that are coming into them. I mean, his job of doing that it was amazing. That being said, I think they really got to cash those in really soon. Getting 2 more seconds, to me, is just hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's just funny to keep collecting a bunch of second rounders where they're supposed to be trading them in to get like first or quality players or young guys, and they haven't done that yet. But the biggest loser for me has to be Ersan Ilyasova because he's been traded, I think, 5 times in the last 18 months. And it must be really hard on his wife and kids, like moving around, not knowing where they're going to go. And I assume he's going to get traded again this summer before the draft, right?
Yeah. If I were him, I would just stay in Europe and play in Europe, to be honest.
Poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. All right, so the next trade, obviously, is another Philadelphia move. This one hits closer to home for me because it's concerning the Dallas Mavericks. And it's Nerlens Noel from Philly heading to Dallas for Anderson. We nickname him Simba. Andrew Bogut, and a protected first-round draft pick. Timmy, what is your analysis on this?
Why is Justin Anderson nicknamed Simba?
He looks like he has a mane.
Oh, okay. Is he good? I heard he's a pretty solid, like, up-and-coming swingman.
So I actually am a lot higher than like Rick Carlisle is on James Anderson. I think he has shown flashes of because he's really athletic and he's really strong, so he can guard 1 through 4 or at least be serviceable on the defensive end 1 through 4, and then like he can finish. So that alone to me should put him somewhere on the team, at least like the top 8 players. But for some reason, like, Rick Carlisle just hates this guy. He never plays James Anderson. He picked up Yogi Ferrell from the street, and Yogi's averaging like 40 minutes. He has this guy named Finney Smith. He's playing more than James Anderson. Dwight Powell is playing more than James Anderson. So I don't know. I mean, I know that James Anderson really can't shoot, but from a defensive standpoint, like, you can still be able to play some minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's playing so few minutes that you don't even know his name. It's Justin Anderson.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is Justin Anderson. Because I just call him Simba. A lot,
but his percentages are really bad. I think that's the main reason he doesn't see enough court.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest fear for me from a Dallas Mavericks perspective is we don't want this to turn into another Jay Crowder situation. Because Jay,
exactly.
Yeah, he was great, or he wasn't great, but the minutes that he was given under Carlisle, he showed that he can play. And the biggest thing for me when it comes to the NBA players is, like, unless you're a big star, right, you have to show me that you want it. And I think Justin Anderson is built the same way as Jay Crowder. Like, he tries defensively, and so it was sad for me to see him go.
I would be very concerned that this is the next Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder, his first 3 years, he averaged about 40%. I'm looking up right now. Just over 40% from the field, like under 30% from 3. And he was a throw-in in the Rondo deal. And now he's a 40% shooter from 3. And he's like a very valuable contributor to the second-best team in the East. That would be a little worrisome for me. That being said, I do think you guys did a good job of getting Noel for very little. The pick that was sent is protected 1 through 18 this year, which basically means it's not going as a first rounder this year. It'll become 2 second rounders. So that's pretty great. The winner for me in this is Hinkie because he, I mean, this kind of trade for Colangelo just shows like he can't get much for Noah. That kind of sucks, and Hinkie doesn't have to take the heat for that. The loser here is also Hinkie though, because he drafted Noel. We thought
Man,
he
you
was going
love
to be like a
Hinkie.
good player. Man, it's good and bad for Hinkie. The other loser I have is while I think the Mavs did a good job of getting the best player and he has good upside, I think it's going to hurt their salary cap for this summer and beyond, because Noel's going to be a restricted free agent, and we saw like some other bigs getting $60-70 million deals easily. I mean, I think Noel might be close to a max player, if not a max. And you guys already have Harrison Barnes and Wes Matthews. That's a big chunk of the salary cap for the next 3 or 4 years after this.
Yeah, and I think Dirk is on the books for 25 next year.
So my winner is the big homie in Philly, Dario Saric. He's been on fire, and this just opens up way more playing time with him. I think he always just paired better with Embiid compared to, I guess. No, it's not really fair because Noel didn't really get much chance to play on the same court with him. I think I read somewhere you only had 8 minutes total with the two of them. But this does open up a lot of playing time for the homie, so hopefully he'll be able to kind of show out and maybe even grab that Rookie of the Year this year. Who knows? And the loser for me has to be, kind of goes back to Hinkie, but just the never-ending process. So that's my biggest problem with tanking, and because they tanked for like 3 straight years, right? And you just always heard like trust the process, and they're hoping that they found their centerpieces with Embiid and with Simmons once Simmons gets healthy again. But at the same time, like the more time passes, the more they keep getting these second round picks and everything, the more they have to worry about re-signing all these guys to really big deals, right?
I will say though, again, speaking from a Dallas perspective, so Nerlens Noel, I would liken him to kind of like a young Tyson Chandler, maybe like a young DeAndre Jordan. And we struck out on DeAndre Jordan a couple summers ago. Everyone knows about that story. And then we couldn't re-sign Tyson Chandler because he got too expensive. So maybe we're just trying to get those guys, but 5 years younger and hopefully not as expensive.
Yep, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the problem is you need Dirk 5 years younger too, or at least 5.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
It's a very good point. Dallas isn't going anywhere, so I'm not worried. Okay, so the next trade is KJ McDaniels, and this one was just a straight drop for cash. Did you guys have anything to say about this move?
I think it's just good that the Nets got another pick. Wait, did they get a pick?
I have no idea.
No, it's just cash.
Oh, forget it. Never mind. No winners, no losers
No.
here.
So Brooklyn stays losing.
Yeah, the winner and loser for me are the same person. It's going to be KJ McDaniels. He's a winner because he's going to get more playing time, I think, now versus 0 before. But he's also a loser because he got 0 before because he couldn't even beat out Corey Brewer in the lineup. So we'll kind of see how he pans out.
All right. So next trade is between Oklahoma City and Chicago. The big names for this trade are Anthony Morrow, Cameron Payne, and then from Chicago's perspective, you have Taj Gibson and Dylan McDermott. Before you guys get into this, what do you think Russell Westbrook is going to do now? He doesn't have anyone to dance with.
Yeah, that's my big loser. There's no more dance routine at the beginning. Did you guys like that dance? Like watching them dance? It was really annoying to me.
Why is it annoying?
I just didn't like it. I didn't like the way they danced.
Timmy just doesn't like people having fun.
Yeah, why do you like fun? You need to go watch the NFL or something, man.
No, I hate fun.
But so I propose that Russell Westbrook and Dylan McDermott should start doing that dance together.
It's Doug McDermott. Isn't it
Doug.
Is Dylan McDermott an actor or something?
Yeah, I think so.
I think most people would probably agree that the Thunder came out on top because they got the best players in the deal and they got a pick. I don't know how that's possible. But if somehow this is going to show the Bulls that Gar Forman and John Paxson are not doing a good job and they finally get rid of him, then maybe those Bulls fans can be a winner from this terrible trade.
Yeah, the winner for me is Ennis Cantor. I think he's close to coming back, I heard, but still, this should take Taj Gibson being there should take away some of the memories of him punching a chair and breaking his hand. The loser for me is just mathematics in general. You kind of hit the nail on the head right there, Timmy. So the Bulls somehow gave up both of the best players in the deal by far, unless you're really high on Cameron Payne for some reason. But I don't think you are, since you hate his dancing already. So they gave up the two best players in the deal and the pick. So the math just doesn't make sense for me. Like, the formula is really overloaded on one side.
Yeah, so all the guys from OKC, I didn't name the third guy, but it's Cameron Payne, Anthony Morrow, and this guy named Joffrey. And honestly, I've never heard of this player, Joffrey, and the only thing that comes to mind is he's a really big character in Game of Thrones. And so...
Yeah, his nickname, I think, is King Joffrey.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, I think they call him that.
Okay, next move, and I'm pretty sure I've already said this name, but I think he got traded again. Roy Hibbert for a protected second-round pick to the Nuggets. Timmy?
Yeah, it's Hibbert again, and obviously he's got to be the loser again. And also, just like before, I think the Bucks did a good job of getting rid of that salary. Apparently, the Nuggets did it so they could get Hibbert's contract and reach the salary floor, because they don't even reach the minimum amount that they're paying players. But I mean, they gave up nothing. Like, a protected second is basically nothing. So not really any big winners or losers here.
Yeah, so I'd say the Nuggets won, I guess, quote unquote, just because they got it for nothing. I've never even heard of a protected second round pick till today. That just sounds ridiculous to me. Loser is just verticality in general. I think this was such a big term way back when. I didn't even know that he had won Defensive Player of the Year, but he won it because of verticality, because like, the announcers couldn't stop talking about how he was so good at jumping straight up and not bringing his arms down, and as if that was, like, I guess it's a real skill now. I don't know.
Reggie Miller probably said that word at least 15 times every time the Pacers played the Heat that series.
Wait,
verticality.
Actually, he didn't actually win Defensive Player of the Year. Sorry, I was wrong about that.
I think,
Okay.
I think he
right.
got second or something.
He's definitely one of the top couple defensive players. It's like, I think Marc Gasol and Joakim Noah won those years, 2013 and 2014. And I think Hibbert was, like, right with them as, like, the best defensive guys.
Yeah.
All right, next one is another Morey move, and it's Tyler Ennis for Huertas from LA.
Yeah, so this is just a straight salary dump. I think Huertas is already cut from the team.
Oh, wow.
And so the winner here, I'd say, is Bobby Brown.
Who?
I don't know if you guys know.
I don't know who that is.
Bobby Brown, the NBA player, not the famous singer. So you guys talked. I think we brought up Jimmer Fredette in our last podcast.
Jimmer.
So Jimmer was in the news recently because he hit like 73 points, something like that. Is that right?
On fire.
Yeah. So Bobby Brown, actually, he was playing in China a couple of years ago, and he hit 74 points.
Wow.
So yeah. So this kid can
Fake news.
score.
Fake news.
Fake news. Don't believe it.
Hold on. What team is Bobby Brown on? The Rockets or the Lakers?
Come on, man. He's on the Rockets.
I honestly didn't know Bobby Brown or Tyler Ennis were on the Rockets.
Yeah, Bobby Brown was pretty much our fourth point guard, if you count James Harden as point guard, and now he's gonna get bumped to the third. So that actually coincides with the loser of this trade is Pablo Prigioni, because I was really sad when we cut him, and I heard we pretty much cut Pablo in the preseason or early on the season because Bobby Brown is really good friends with James Harden. But now there's two empty slots on the Rockets now, so maybe I'm still holding out hope that we pick up Pablo again. Third time.
All right, next move is Mike Scott to the Phoenix Suns for cash. Any reactions to this?
No, I have no reactions on this. I don't care at all.
The only thing I will say is I think YouTube won, because I heard this trade, or I read this trade on Twitter, and I immediately went to YouTube to watch the Michael Scott videos. So
Michael Scott. Nice.
Yeah, brought back really nice memories from The Office from the first couple seasons.
Nice. And then this was a pretty big trade right at the 11th hour today at 2 p.m. Central, PJ Tucker to Toronto for Jared Sullinger and 2 second-round picks. Mock, what do you think?
I'm proud of the Raptors.
Yeah.
I think the winner here is, I in this trade to or kind of all their trades this deadline, talking about Toronto to kind of fantasy sports in general. So I love it when fantasy sports managers really go for it and they kind of throw caution to the wind. And that's kind of what Toronto's done. They've gone all in, but they still held on to their own first round pick, which is pretty good. The loser here, I think, is the Celtics. There are so many rumors about the Celtics, hitting big with either who's that guy in Chicago you really like, Timmy?
Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, with either Jimmy Butler or Paul George, and then none of that came into fruition. And so Celtics ended up standing pat, while the Raptors, which is, I'd say, their biggest rival right now in terms of competing in the East versus LeBron, Toronto made a ton of moves.
Yeah, they picked up
agree.
Serge. Yeah, they picked up Serge and PJ Tucker. That's pretty good. Go ahead, Timmy.
Yeah, I agree. The Celtics are the losers there because they didn't do anything, and all of a sudden they are. They weren't a guarantee, I guess, to get to the conference finals, but now it's going to be even harder, having to probably go through the Raptors. The Wizards also didn't do enough. We talked about before, they got Bogdanovich. I don't think that's going to be enough for them. And the Raptors are the ones that came out on top. But really, I think Masai Ujiri is another winner because now nobody's going to think about that DeMarre Carroll contract he signed last year for $60 million for 4 years, and the guy is not good. But now they have Tucker and Ibaka instead. So Masai has definitely become one of the winners from this deadline.
Wait, does DeMarre Carroll not play anymore, or what?
He plays. He's just not very good ever since he got hurt and he was out for most of last year. He's definitely not worth $15 million.
You think PJ Tucker is gonna slide in there as a starting small forward?
If not the starter, he'll at least take a good chunk of the minutes. They're probably overextending Carroll just because he's just not the same as he was on the Hawks 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think having Tucker there definitely helps, and it'll hide the fact that they overpaid there.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so we ran through all of the trades that happened in the NBA the last couple of weeks, most of them today, deadline day. But we wanted to go through the overall winners and losers in the NBA. I know a lot of moves have been made, not just from a player perspective, but you had the Magic Johnson takeover in LA. So who did you think, Timmy, won and why?
Yeah, the biggest winner of the trade deadline, unfortunately, is the Los Angeles Lakers. I hate them, but they are very clearly tanking now. They should be pretty set for one of those, probably the second worst record in the league, I think. Hopefully for them, so they can keep their bottom 3 pick that otherwise they would have to give to Philly. And then the fact that Paul George wasn't traded was really, a lot of it was due to him saying that he wanted to sign with the Lakers next year. So the Lakers didn't have to make a big Godfather offer to pick up Paul George. They can know that he's planning on coming over next summer. So they're the biggest winner over this deadline. And like you mentioned, Magic as well, with his star power, now they have good opportunities to get more stars in the future.
Mark, who do you think the winner is?
Yeah, that's a good call for Lakers. I agree. Paul George kind of sounds like he's going to kind of fall in their lap if he doesn't re-sign with the Pacers in the next couple of seasons. For me, the big winner is Woj. I think this is his day. This is his time of year, and I don't know how many more Twitter followers or anything he gained. And I heard a rumor that he was going back to ESPN, but he's just kind of been all over the place now, and he's kind of the it guy as far as the NBA. Everyone knows what a Woj bomb is now.
He really is. There's no competition either. Sometimes a few people will break something at the same time or slightly after, maybe a little before, but it's almost always every single deal comes from Wojnarowski first. It's amazing.
So, Mark, who would you rate as better, Woj or Adam Schefter?
I say it's Woj because he stays in his lane. He knows what he's good at. Adam Schefter has some random tweets sometimes. He'll try. I think I heard ESPN is trying to expand him to NBA as well,
Oh, wow.
which is kind of weird.
There's a few losers. We mentioned the Celtics earlier. I think they're a big loser because this was their chance to cash in all those assets they've been
That's a
holding.
good point.
But the other losers for me have to be like Jahlil Okafor in Philly. I mean, they've talked about trading him for like over a year now, I think. And it's, well, maybe not over a year, but since the summer, definitely. And it was really clear that he was supposed to be traded. And I don't think they could get any offers. So they traded Noel instead. And I don't think that means Okafor is going to get more playing time or anything. I think he's just the big loser. And the other one has to be the Knicks and Carmelo. Same kind of thing. We've heard about the trade rumors for the past, 2-3 months and what Phil Jackson has done there trying to get Melo out. And they didn't do it. And so now they're just stuck with him. I don't know who's the bigger loser there, the Knicks or Carmelo. I guess both of them.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Jahlil Okafor because, everyone thought he was going to get traded. Him and Danilo, too. But the tweet that really made me laugh today was regarding Brook Lopez and how he's like a 4-year undefeated champ at the trade deadline because each year, there's rumors of him being traded. First it was for 2 first rounds. Now it's only for 1 first rounder. But again, he is safe and he is still in Brooklyn.
Well, I don't know if that makes Brook the winner or the loser, though. Undefeated, yes, but I'm sure he doesn't want to be there on the worst team in the league every single year.
Yeah, so Brooklyn is definitely making a late charge to get into the worst run franchise conversation. But for me, the loser right now is the Bulls. They're coming on really strong. They want to give the Magic and the Kings a run for the money. So the Bulls, coming into this year, all the questions were obvious. They signed D Wade and Rondo and got all these guys who obviously aren't known for the outside shot, to say the least. So we knew that range was an issue there. Like, they don't have outside shooters to space the court for everyone. And here we go. They go on and trade really their only shooter on the team, McDermott, for nothing. For nobody. So their spacing somehow got even worse. And if you add him along with, Michael Carter-Williams now, it's just there's going to be no space there. Everyone can just pack the lane.
Do you think the Bulls did good to not trade Jimmy Butler, or that they should have traded him?
I can't remember his contract situation. I know he's getting paid under 20 right now. I can't remember.
He's like $17 million or something for the next year and a half.
Yeah, so that's really good for right now. It's just I can't see him resigning there long term unless they get something figured out.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to re-sign there. What if him and Paul George go to LA together?
That'll make me really sad. I hate the Lakers so much.
All right, guys, was there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
No, it was a big day. It's fun.
Yeah, and it's a big night tonight. So Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins are playing Houston. It's on national TV. So I don't know what you guys are doing right now, but that game should be on.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you everyone for listening. NBA Trade Deadline 2017 is over with. Please follow us on Facebook at 6 Pennies Podcast and Twitter 6 Pennies Pod. Thank you guys.